Hey guys, now we are going to explore two-point perspective. It has a lot of similarities to one-point perspective, so I will walk you through step by step what to do a sketch of another street scene, but this time in two-point perspective. Same materials as the last time: paper, pencil, eraser, ruler, possibly a triangle, depends on your preferences. Like with one-point perspective, first decide if you want your paper landscape or portrait. For this one, we'll go with landscape. And same first step, draw a horizon line. Remember to keep in mind that it needs to be parallel to the top and the bottom, so your ruler should be flush with the side. Now on this one, it is up to you if you want more ground, or you could do more sky, or fairly equal. So take your pick. At this point you could still change your mind. So as it is right now, I have a lot of sky and a little bit of ground, which is fine for now. And next step, again, same as with one-point perspective, but this time you have 2 points. So put a point on each side of your horizon line. Easy. And the next step, we are going to make a street scene, and the first building we'll put in is a building right on the corner. So your ruler needs to go parallel to the sides of your paper this time, somewhere near the middle. It can be a little off to the right or left if you want. So this line needs to go through your horizon line and leave some space between the bottom and the top of your paper. You can do small, you can do really big, it is up to you. Just make sure it goes through your horizon line. Okay, so that's it for that step. We're already ready to connect it to the vanishing points using our orthogonals. Remember that fancy word you can tell your parents? So lay your ruler on the top or the bottom of your line and connect the dots. Go to both vanishing points. And same thing with the bottom of your line. Okay. So it should look like a sideways kite at this point. Next, we'll put in the sides of our building, which need to go parallel to the sides of the paper and this line you just drew. So make sure that your ruler is flush with the bottom or the top. Decide how wide you want your building and put in your vertical line. Do the same thing on the other side, and your two sides don't have to be even. I'll make one side a little bit bigger. I'm checking that that's even. Drawing a line, but only between these two orthogonals. Now we have some erasing to do. So you can't see through this building, so erase the horizon line. Okay. And then we'll erase the orthogonals that are going through the sky. Before we do that, make a choice right now if you like it better this way, or you can flip it, see if you like it better that way. So it's up to you. I am going to flip mine because I want to have some room for a street. So I'll erase these lines because these are going to be the sky for me. So I'll go ahead and erase that. Okay. And I will put in my street now. So like with one-point perspective, it goes to your vanishing point. You can have a big street, you can do a small street. It is up to you. I'm going to do kind of a large street. And again, if I want it symmetrical, just like with the last video, you can measure. So this is at a little over 3.5. Or if you want, you can just eyeball it. It is completely up to you. And if you want, one side could be wider than the other too. Whatever you would like your street to look like. Okay, so before I move on to more buildings, now is a great time to add a sidewalk too if you want a sidewalk. A good thing to do first is line up your ruler with this corner of your building and put a little dot where you think you want the width of your sidewalk to be at that point. Then all you do is connect that dot to your vanishing point. Here is a little bit off, but I'll make it work. And here. Now the lines in your sidewalk this time, for 2-point perspective, you can make them perpendicular to the line. You can put one in here if you want. I'm gonna actually just start here, so I'll line this up. And remember, as they get closer to the vanishing point, things look like they start to shrink or vanish or get smaller. So they need to get closer and closer and closer together until they just kind of run into each other. Okay, so you get the point there. So it looks like your sidewalk's fading out there. Okay, so also, if you would like lines down the middle of your street, I like to put a little dot where the middle is. If you want to be precise, you can measure how far this is and divide it in half and line that up with your vanishing point. So the lines in the middle of your street are bigger, closer to the viewer or the bottom of your page. Then they're going to get smaller and closer together the farther you get towards your vanishing point. So that's a good time to add that too. You can put another sidewalk in on the other side of your street if you want. This could be, maybe you're going to have like a beach over there. You could have a lake. Up to you. So let's do a taller building. Just like with 1-point perspective, if you want a taller building right next to it, start by lining up your ruler with the side of your building and extend your line up higher. The bottom of your building, just like with this one, we drew the corner. This is the corner of our new building. Then remember, next we went to the vanishing points, both of them. This one's already connected. This one we can't do because we draw through that entire building. The top of this line we can go to both of them. So you could go ahead and connect those. If you were to run into another building over here, you would just draw your line until it bumped into it and then stop. Okay, and the next thing we did was drawing these two parallel lines. So line up your ruler, draw where you want the side of your building, and same thing again on the other side of that line. Then you erase the horizon line and erase the extra orthogonal. And there's your taller building. Okay, let's do a shorter building now. So again, like with 1-point perspective, for a shorter building, just put a little mark where you want it to go. So that essentially is your first step of drawing that corner. Here's the corner right here of your building. So you would connect the bottom both ways, which it's already connected here. You can't connect that because you can't see it. This building's blocking it. The top of it, there's my dash. I'll connect to the vanishing point. And I would connect it over here, but you can't see that side because this building's in the way again. So the next step was to draw in the parallel lines on either side. Well, there's only one side you can see. So line up your ruler, draw your line, then you're already ready to erase. Erase the horizon line. Erase the extra orthogonal. Shorter buildings are pretty easy. Okay, so I'll show you how to do an alley as well. So remember your first step, line up your ruler, draw how tall you want your building starting at the sidewalk. This would be the width of the alley. You can make it bigger, more like a street. It is up to you. So start at the sidewalk, go however tall you want this next building. And the next step was to connect to both vanishing points. So this one is already going here. This one we can connect until we run into something. So I'm lining up the bottom of the line with the vanishing point, and I'll go from here till I bump into something, which was pretty quick. So that is connected. This would be connected. Same thing with the top of your line. Line it up, draw it till you bump into something, but it would connect. This one, there's nothing in the way, so I can actually connect it. And again, it gets repetitive. Draw a line on either side, line this up, and however wide you want this building. Erase the extra orthogonals and the horizon line that's showing through, a little bit extra there. It also helps if you shade in your alley here. It helps a lot of people see that that's an alley. So maybe it's really dark over in this, a dark and spooky, scary alley. It could get lighter out here. So there would be the alley. So that's pretty much it for the buildings. Let me show you a quick change on a roof and some doors and windows. So if you wanted a roof more like a house, you could just put a dot up here, connect the two corners to the dot. Okay, so you've got that. Then you also want to connect this peak to the vanishing point that corresponds. By corresponds, I mean this building, you have to figure out if your roof should be going back this way or if it should be going this way. If I connected this, it wouldn't make a lot of sense because this building would be floating out over nothing. So I'm going to go towards this point. Okay, and the line that you draw has to match this angle. So if you line this up, slide your ruler down till it hits this corner, draw a line, erase the extra orthogonal. So I know that that's kind of narrow, so it's a little hard to see, but hopefully you get the idea of that kind of roof there. Okay, so for a door or a window, you're basically mimicking or copying the shape of the side of your building. So all the sides of your building go straight up, and then the top slants towards one of the vanishing points, depending on which side of the building you're looking at. So your doors will be the same way. Straight up, so line up your ruler, make your door straight up. Look at the side it's on. This side is slanting to this point, so the top of your door should also go to that point. So you'll line up your ruler with the top of your door and your point, and draw how wide you want your door. So this should be going towards the same point as the top of that and the bottom of that. Make sure all that matches up. And the other side, nothing fancy. Line it up, straight up and down. Mine's a double door, so I'm going to put one down the middle here. And you can put some handles on it. We'll do one more just to make sure everybody's got it. Straight up and down, just like the side of the building, straight up and down. This building, the top and bottom are slanting towards this point. So my door will go towards this point and then straight up and down. Check that that's flush. Add a doorknob if you want. That's a rather large door, but that's okay. Windows. I'll show you a whole bunch of windows really quickly. So line it up however tall you want your window. check which point that side of your building's going towards, and go to the same point. So this is going to look like one really long window, which I can leave like that, straight up and down here. Check that that's correct. Okay, so I can leave this one really long window, or I can go and put in a bunch of lines, just keep them parallel, and put in a bunch here. So it could be a row like that, or you can even erase a few here and there. And really quickly get a lot of windows. This would be the same kind of thing if you wanted like bricks on your building. It seems a little tedious, but it looks really cool. Line up with your vanishing point, and you would put in a bunch of lines that all connect to this. This could be bricks or like cinder blocks. If you don't put in the vertical lines, it could be kind of like siding or a log cabin if you added some shading to it. But they would all slant toward the same vanishing point that matches the top and bottom of that side of the building. So hopefully this is making sense. If you want a title on your building, it would also slant to match the side of the building that you're putting it on. So you can kind of get the idea, like that could be siding, or if you put lines straight up and down, you could have a brick building here, like this. That is a lot of detail in a relatively short amount of time. Okay, so if you're putting a title on your building, you can't just write straight, because that doesn't go with the angle of your building. It doesn't look like it's in perspective any longer. So if I want something, say it's on this building, this side of this building is going towards this point. So I'm going to put in a line that slants toward that point, 2 lines. Maybe I'm going to do a couple lines here. So maybe this is your house. So your writing should fit in the lines. So your writing kind of shrinks as it goes along here. Ooh, I don't have quite enough room. And this bigger one over here, you could put my house if you want. Just make sure it matches this side. If I'm going to put it right here, this side's going towards this point. So I need my lines to go that way to match up. So you can get some fun details pretty quickly. So maybe this is my house. Easy enough, right? Well, if this is my house, don't you think it needs a welcome sign? You know this song. You could put, welcome to my house. Get it? Okay, so if you guys have questions, let me know in class, and we'll get things going for you. Good luck!